Ladies and gentlemen, there's a battle that rages inside every one of us, one that doesn't make the headlines, one that no one else can see. It's the war between your emotions and your control. The villain, anger, frustration, irritation, those sneaky little forces that whisper, "Wreck now! Lose control!" But here's the truth. The strongest person in the room is never the loudest one. The strongest person is the one who stays calm in chaos, centered in the storm, and unshaken when the world tries to shake them. Today, I'm going to show you how to control your emotions and never get annoyed at anyone again. Not by suppressing your feelings, but by mastering them. Because when you master your emotions, you master your life. Before you can control something, you have to understand it. Emotions are not your enemies. They are messengers, signals from within, guiding you towards something deeper. Anger, frustration, sadness, irritation. These feelings are not random. They're clues. Your anger might be saying, "I feel disrespected." Your irritation might whisper, "I feel unheard." Every emotional spark you feel is the mind's way of pulling the alarm, saying, "Hey, pay attention to this." Yet most people, instead of listening, rush to react. They explode, lash out, or shut down, never realizing that the emotion was never meant to be their opponent. It was meant to be their ally. When you understand this, the game changes. You stop fighting your feelings and start decoding them. You become less like a puppet pulled by invisible strings and more like a master conductor leading an orchestra of your inner world. The goal isn't to silence emotion, it's to interpret it. Imagine a pilot in a storm, alarms blaring, lights flashing. He doesn't scream, slam the controls, and hope for the best. He studies the signals. He knows that every blinking light is data, every warning is direction. You too are the pilot of your own mind. Your emotions are those signals. They don't come to destroy you. They come to guide you back to stability. Take anger, for example. It's not evil. It's energy. It's passion misdirected. When someone disrespects you and that fire rises in your chest, that's your mind saying, "I deserve better." But if you let that fire burn uncontrolled, it destroys everything in its path. If you channel it, though, it becomes power, motivation, clarity, drive. Think of great creators, innovators, and heroes. Many of them turned their anger, their pain, into purpose. They learned to use emotion, not be used by it. That's emotional intelligence at its finest. Picture a moment from your own life. Someone says something that cuts deep. Your first instinct, to snap back, to defend. But what if, instead of reacting, you paused and asked, "Why did that hurt me so much?" Maybe it reminded you of a time you weren't respected. Maybe it hit an old wound. In that instant of awareness, you've already taken back control. Because you're no longer acting out of unconscious pain, you're acting from conscious understanding. That single pause is the difference between chaos and control, between being ruled by emotion and ruling over it. Imagine yourself as an engineer of your own heart. When a machine malfunctions, you don't smash it with a hammer. You open it up, examine the gears, and see what's out of alignment. Your emotions work the same way. If you're constantly irritated, don't condemn yourself, investigate. What's out of sync? Are you tired, overworked, feeling unseen? Every emotion points toward an unmet need. If you trace it back far enough, you'll find the root. Once you find the root, you stop reacting to the symptoms and start healing the cause. Think of it this way: your emotions are like a dashboard in a superhero suit. When something's off, a light flashes. Anger, system compromised. Sadness, energy low. Frustration, goal blocked. A true hero doesn't punch the dashboard. He reads it, diagnoses it, and adjusts course. That's how you should treat your emotions, not as enemies to suppress, but as information to understand. Because awareness is your first real superpower. Without awareness, you're fighting blind. You might think you're defending yourself when, in truth, you're feeding the very emotions you want to control. Awareness gives you vision. It allows you to step outside the storm and watch it instead of being swept away. The moment you observe your emotion, you create space between you and it. And in that space, you find freedom. We live in a world that teaches us to react instantly to every comment, every post, every word that stings. But those who rise above, who stay calm when others crumble, are the ones who've mastered awareness. They see emotions not as threats, but as tools. They know that irritation is simply a compass pointing towards something that needs attention. They know anger, when understood, can ignite courage instead of destruction. The people who change their world don't let their emotions drive, they let them inform. They listen to what anger is trying to protect, what fear is trying to warn, what sadness is trying to heal. They become fluent in the language of their inner world. And when you learn that language, you stop being at war with yourself. You start leading yourself. Remember this: every emotion you feel is a messenger, not a master. Don't silence it. Don't fight it. Decode it. When you understand your emotions, you stop being a victim of circumstance and start becoming a sculptor of your own experience. Awareness doesn't just protect you, it empowers you. Without it, you're a hero without armor. But with it, you can walk through chaos untouched, calm in the storm, powerful in peace. When emotions hit, time seems to slow down. It's that split second when your heart races, your thoughts blur, and something inside you screams, "Rake now!" But in that moment, you have a choice. One of the most powerful choices you'll ever make. You can react or you can respond. And that choice defines the kind of person you are becoming. Because reacting is easy. It's instinct, impulse, raw emotion. Responding, though, requires awareness, control, and strength. It means you've taken the wheel instead of letting your emotions drive you straight off the road. Picture this: you're behind the wheel, music playing, just minding your own business. Then suddenly someone cuts you off in traffic. Instantly, your blood pressure spikes, your jaw tightens, and your mind floods with all the things you could say, or worse, do. But before you let that anger take over, pause. Take one deep breath. Inhale power, exhale control. That single breath might seem small, but it's everything. Because in that breath, you choose peace over chaos, strength over weakness. That one pause separates the wise from the reckless, the calm from the broken. Detachment is not about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally free. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care more about your peace than about proving a point. When you detach, you're saying, I refuse to hand over my power to someone else's behavior. Because that's what anger really is. It's giving control of your inner world to something or someone outside of you. Think about that. The moment you let someone make you angry, you've given them the keys to your mind. They steer your emotions, and you just go along for the ride. But when you detach, you take the keys back. You decide where your mind goes, and no one else gets to touch the controls. Imagine you're in an argument. The words are sharp, the tension thick. Everything in you wants to strike back, to say that one thing that will win the fight. But what if you didn't? What if you took a breath, leaned back, and simply observed? You'd notice something powerful. You'd see that the other person's anger isn't really about you. It's their stress, their frustration, their battle. And suddenly, you're no longer part of their storm. You're standing in the calm, watching it pass. That's what detachment gives you, the power to step out of the storm. People often mistake detachment for weakness, but it's the opposite. It takes incredible strength to stay calm when provoked, to stay centered when chaos tries to pull you in. It's easy to lose control. It's human. But to keep control when every part of you wants to explode, that's divine. That's mastery. And mastery doesn't come from shutting your emotions down. It comes from knowing when they serve you and when they don't. Think of life like a chess game. Every move you make matters. When someone upsets you, that's their move. When you react without thinking, that's yours. And sometimes it's the move that costs you the game. But if you take a moment to pause, to study the board, to think 2 steps ahead, you turn their attack into your advantage. Detachment is strategy, not surrender. It's wisdom in action. Here's the truth: no one can make you angry. They can only offer you the invitation. The power lies in whether or not you accept it. Every time someone insults you, disrespects you, or tries to pull you into their chaos, they're handing you that invitation. Most people accept it instantly. They react, they argue, they match the energy. But the ones who grow, the ones who win, the ones who walk away with peace, they decline the invitation. They let the storm rage, but they stay dry. Think about the greatest heroes, leaders, and thinkers you've ever admired. Were they calm or chaotic? Did they lash out when provoked, or did they rise above it? The answer is always the same. They knew how to pause. They knew that reacting gives away your strength, while responding multiplies it. They didn't fight every battle. They chose which ones mattered. And more often than not, silence, calm, and patience were their greatest weapons. It's not easy. You'll slip. You'll find yourself reacting before you realize what's happening. But that's okay. Awareness grows with practice. Each time you catch yourself before reacting, you strengthen your emotional armor. Each pause builds your power. And slowly, you'll notice that things that once triggered you no longer shake you. You'll start to feel untouchable, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. So when the next challenge comes, when someone tests your patience, when life throws its chaos your way, remember this: you hold the remote. You can choose to let your emotions take over, or you can choose to breathe, step back, and rise above. Detachment isn't running away from emotion, it's rising above it. It's the art of keeping your peace in a world that constantly tries to steal it. And when you master that art, you don't just control your emotions, you control your destiny. Every annoying situation begins with a story we create, often without realizing it. Someone cuts you off in line, and your mind instantly writes the script. He disrespected me. A coworker interrupts you during a meeting, and you tell yourself she's being rude on purpose. A friend doesn't reply to your message, and suddenly it's, they don't value me. Our emotions don't just come from what happens. They come from the story we tell ourselves about what happens. But here's the twist: what if the story isn't true? What if your mind is adding drama that doesn't exist, turning background noise into a personal attack? Imagine this: you walk into a cafe, and the barista barely looks at you, slams your coffee on the counter, and walks away. Instantly, your ego fires up. Wow, what an attitude. But maybe that barista just lost someone they love. Maybe they're exhausted after a double shift, or fighting a silent battle no one knows about. When you reframe the story, everything changes. You move from judgment to understanding, from reaction to compassion. The event stays the same, but your interpretation transforms your experience. That's the power of reframing. It doesn't change the world around you. It changes the world within you. Reframing isn't about pretending everything is fine when it isn't. It's not about letting people walk all over you or ignoring disrespect. It's about understanding that your peace matters more than being right about how unfair life feels. It's the art of choosing perspective over pain. When you reframe, you say, maybe there's more to this story than my first reaction. That single shift can save relationships, careers, and even your mental health. Science proves this too. Cognitive psychologists have found that the human brain reacts not to events themselves, but to our interpretation of those events. In fact, studies show that people who regularly reframe their thoughts have lower stress levels, better emotional control, and stronger relationships. Your brain is like a director. It edits, rewrites, and narrates everything that happens. And the story it tells determines how you feel. If your brain says, "They disrespected me," your body floods with anger. If it says, "Maybe they're having a hard day," that anger dissolves into empathy. One story burns you out. The other sets you free. Think about how often we misjudge others based on limited information. You text a friend and they don't reply for days. Instantly, your mind goes, "They're ignoring me." But when they finally respond, you find out they were dealing with something painful and couldn't talk. How often have you punished yourself emotionally for a story that wasn't even real? How many sleepless nights have been built on misunderstandings that never needed to exist? Reframing is your way out of that trap. It's the difference between peace and paranoia. There's a saying, hurt people hurt people. Most of the time when someone lashes out, it's not because of you, it's because of what they're carrying inside. A rude driver, a short-tempered boss, an irritable stranger. These are just humans cracking under the weight of their own struggles. When you learn to see that, you stop taking everything personally. You start seeing people not as villains, but as fellow travelers trying to survive their storms. That doesn't mean you excuse bad behavior, but you refuse to let it poison your soul. You protect your peace by changing the lens through which you see the world. Reframing also works inwardly. When you make a mistake, "I failed," try saying, "I learned something important." When you lose something, instead of saying, "It's over," think, "Maybe this is a redirection." Life rarely gives you control over what happens, but it always gives you control over how you interpret it. And that interpretation shapes your entire reality. Think of your mind like a camera lens. Focus it on negativity and the whole world looks dark. Adjust it slightly and light floods in. The scene hasn't changed. You have. Reframing is adjusting that lens. It's saying, "I choose to see this differently." And when you do, your emotions begin to follow. You feel lighter, calmer, more in control. You realize that most of your suffering didn't come from the situation. It came from your story about it. So the next time someone annoys you, before anger takes over, ask yourself, is this really about me? Or is this about something they're going through? That one question creates distance between you and the emotion. It gives you space to breathe, to think, to respond with wisdom instead of wrath. It allows you to live with empathy, not ego. And empathy is not weakness. It's the highest form of strength. In a world where everyone is so quick to react, the one who pauses to reframe holds true power. Because that person isn't controlled by what others say or do. They're guided by understanding. And when you live that way, you stop being a prisoner of your own stories. You become their author. You write new meanings, new outcomes, new peace. You start seeing not a world of enemies, but a world full of people doing their best. And that perspective doesn't just calm your emotions. It changes your life. Just like heroes don't become strong overnight, emotional mastery doesn't happen by accident. It's a craft, a discipline, a daily training of the mind and heart. The same way muscles grow through consistent effort, your emotional control strengthens through practice. You don't wake up one day immune to frustration or anger. You earn that peace moment by moment through how you respond to life's small tests. Meditation, journaling, deep breathing, gratitude. These aren't just trendy habits. They're your daily workouts, your training grounds for emotional power. Each quiet breath, each moment of reflection, each act of gratitude adds another layer of strength to your inner world. Start small. When your coffee spills all over your shirt before work, don't curse the universe as if it conspired against you. When your Wi-Fi drops during an important call, don't throw your phone across the room like it's the villain of your story. These little frustrations may seem meaningless, but they're your gym sessions for the soul. Every time you choose calm over chaos, you're not just avoiding anger, you're conditioning your mind to rise above it. You're teaching yourself that peace is a choice, not a prize you win when life is easy. Think about it. No great warrior mastered his weapon the first day he picked it up. He trained, stumbled, adjusted, and grew. The same goes for emotional control. You won't always get it right. There will be days when your patience runs out, when your emotions hit hard and you fail the test. But failure isn't the end, it's feedback. Every setback is a signal pointing to where you still need to grow stronger. And with each repetition, your reactions change. What once would have ruined your day now barely shakes you. That's progress, silent, invisible, but powerful. There's a reason monks seem untouchable, radiating calm no matter what happens around them. It's not because life treats them differently. It's because they've trained their minds daily for years. They've sat in silence long enough to understand that peace doesn't come from the world. It comes from within. But here's the truth. You don't need a mountain monastery to find that strength. You don't need robes, incense, or chants. You just need consistency. Practice, patience, and purpose are all you require to transform your emotional state into something extraordinary. You can start right now, right where you are. When you wake up, instead of diving into your phone, take one deep breath and set an intention for the day. When stress hits at work, pause before reacting. When someone upsets you, choose silence instead of shouting. It's these small decisions, these quiet victories, that shape your emotional destiny. Emotional strength doesn't scream, it whispers. It's built in moments of restraint, in the invisible seconds where you could lose control. But don't. There's a powerful truth hidden in every challenge you face. Life isn't testing your comfort, it's training your character. Every annoying situation, every delay, every disappointment is an opportunity to practice control. You are in the gym of the soul every single day. Each frustration is a weight, each conflict a push-up, each setback a chance to build resilience. When you stop seeing life as an obstacle course and start seeing it as your training ground, everything changes. The same moments that once broke you become the moments that build you. Emotional mastery isn't about being perfect. It's about being prepared. You prepare your mind the same way athletes prepare their bodies. You stretch your patience. You strengthen your focus. You rest your thoughts when they're overworked. You feed your mind with gratitude and perspective instead of negativity. This kind of training doesn't just make you calm. It makes you powerful, unshakable, and wise. Think of your emotions like a wild stallion. If you let it run free without direction, it'll throw you off at the first sign of chaos. But if you train it with consistency and care, one day that same wild energy becomes your strength. You can ride it with confidence, knowing you're in control. That's what emotional training gives you, the ability to direct your energy, not be destroyed by it. There will always be moments that test your limits. Someone will say something that pushes your buttons. A plan will fall apart right when you need it most. The world won't stop trying to shake you. But the more you train, the less it can. Because real power doesn't come from controlling the world. It comes from mastering yourself. Every calm breath, every patient choice, every grateful thought is a rep in your emotional workout. So train daily, even when it feels pointless. Stay patient when no one notices your progress, because one day you'll face a storm that once would have broken you. And you'll stand tall, calm and steady, realizing that all those small moments of self-control built this strength within you. You'll understand that peace wasn't something you found by chance. It was something you've trained for. At the root of every argument, every spark of anger, every moment of frustration sits one small but mighty villain, ego. It's that voice that rises up inside and shouts, "I'm right, they're wrong." It's the voice that needs to win, to prove, to dominate. Ego doesn't care about peace. It craves validation. It wants to be seen, to be heard, to be superior. But the price of feeding that ego is heavy. Because every time you choose to prove yourself over keeping your calm, you trade your peace for pride. And that trade is never worth it. Ego screams for attention, but peace whispers. And if you listen closely, peace always tells you the truth, that it's not worth it. You can win the argument, deliver the perfect comeback, silence the other person, and still walk away feeling empty. Because winning outside means nothing if you're losing inside. You can't fill your heart with victory when it's already heavy with bitterness. Sometimes walking away isn't losing, it's protecting your soul. Think about how many conflicts start from something small, a tone of voice, a misunderstood word, a difference in opinion. Ego magnifies it. Ego says, you can't let them talk to you like that. You have to respond. You have to prove them wrong. But peace sees it differently. Peace says, let them think what they want. Your worth isn't up for debate. The moment you realize that your value doesn't depend on being right, you free yourself from the chains of ego. Ask yourself, in those heated moments, do I want to be right or do I want to be free? Because freedom doesn't come from dominating others. It comes from mastering yourself. The person who can stay calm when others lose control is the one with true strength. Anyone can raise their voice. Anyone can argue. But only a few can rise above it and choose silence, grace, and dignity. That's not weakness. That's power in its purest form. Look at the greatest leaders and thinkers who have walked this earth. They all share one thing in common. They don't let ego dictate their emotions. They don't waste their energy proving themselves to those who don't understand them. They know who they are, and that's enough. They lead with calmness because they know real authority doesn't come from shouting, it comes from presence. They understand that the loudest person in the room isn't always the strongest. The one who keeps their peace holds more power than the one who loses it. Ego wants control. It wants to be the hero of every story. But peace doesn't need to prove anything. It already knows its worth. When you choose peace, you choose maturity. You choose growth. You choose to protect your energy from being wasted on things that won't matter in a week, a month, or a year. The ego thrives on conflict. Peace thrives on understanding. The ego reacts, peace reflects. Imagine a time when someone said something that cut deep, maybe insulted you or questioned your integrity. The instant reaction was probably to defend yourself, to fire back, to even the score. But have you ever noticed that after every argument, no matter who won, you still feel drained? That's because ego feeds on chaos, not clarity. Peace, on the other hand, restores your balance. When you learn to stay calm, you reclaim your power. You stop letting others dictate how you feel. No one can control a person who has mastered their peace. Choosing peace over ego doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. It means knowing when to speak and when silence says more. It means standing tall without stepping on others. It means knowing your worth so deeply that you don't need to prove it to anyone. True confidence is quiet. It doesn't need to shout. It simply is. All life will constantly test your patience. Someone will challenge your beliefs. Someone will misunderstand you, gossip about you, or try to bring you down. And when that happens, you'll feel ego's voice rising again, saying, defend yourself. Don't let them win. But peace will whisper, let them go. Let it pass. Every time you choose peace, you choose power. You show the world and yourself that you're not controlled by emotion, pride, or impulse. You're guided by strength, by clarity, by calm. The real warriors of life aren't the ones who fight every battle. They're the ones who know which ones aren't worth fighting. They're the ones who smile instead of shouting back, who step aside instead of striking back, who keep their hearts unbothered in a world that thrives on drama. That's true mastery, to walk away with grace when your ego demands revenge. Remember, peace isn't the absence of power. It's the transformation of it. It's power under perfect control. It's the strength to stay kind in the face of disrespect, to stay calm in the storm, to choose serenity over superiority. The world doesn't need more people who want to be right. It needs more people who choose to be free. So the next time your ego calls you to battle, remember you don't have to attend every fight you're invited to. Sometimes the greatest victory you'll ever win is walking away with your peace still intact. You see, controlling your emotions isn't about shutting down what you feel. It's about choosing what deserves your energy. When you stop getting annoyed by people, you stop giving away pieces of yourself to things that don't matter. You become unstoppable, untouchable, unshakable. So the next time life tries to push your buttons, smile and remember this: you are not a slave to your emotions. You are their creator, their commander, their master. And when you master yourself, you become the hero of your own story.